So, reporting on HubSpot, the possibilities are endless. Okay. So, I want to talk a little bit about the types of reports that are available in HubSpot at a kind of a cool level as to how do you use reporting to grow your business? So, this report that you see scrolling through, this is just an animated image. You're going to see a lot of these. This is called a service level objective dashboard. So, what that means is it's the time the company has set for a task to be completed in the system. So, if we complete this task in the amount of time required, give it a good score. If we don't, if it takes too much time or more time than we said, give it a bad score. And then average by sales rep, the names are blurred here, average by sales reps over 30 days. So we can start to get an idea as to each step. So like go for estimating, quote, time to quote given. We can start to say, are we being fast? And then what does this tell us, right? If we're not achieving our goals, first of all, we have to know. That's why we have to measure it, right? Like Michelle, you said your goal is to be super efficient and getting a seamless process, right? Part of that is making sure it happens at the right pace too. So when we see that we're not hitting our certain objectives from our service level that we want to provide, is that we need to invest in more training for our people. If they're trained, maybe we need more reps, right? Or maybe just it's unrealistic, right? And the way that we can discern what we should do better or not is through our customer service. So being able to have feedback surveys, we like companies to do a feedback survey after the quote is given, after the job is sold, and then after it's installed, and then after it's paid for. That's when we ask for the Google review. We should know we can ask for the Google review because we have 3 feedback surveys, right? I just sent out a feedback survey yesterday to like 1,100 people. So far, I've got like 10 back. You know what I mean? It's like you want to get feedback from your customers. So we measure the score, right? And then we also measure the volume of feedback surveys. And based on that feedback, we can say, is this important to the customer that we are faster here or slower here? And so if we know what's important to the customer, we can adjust our service level objectives and the number of people that we have in the company to reflect that. So if we're trying to adjust, right, we should probably know how much time and how and what rate we're getting things. So another great report inside HubSpot is these gauges, right? These gauges allow us to say, okay, we want to get a certain rate of things happening or a certain oftenness of something happening. And so this is a percentage rate where they're qualifying leads. And you can set your red, orange, yellow, and green limits to say this is the rate at which we want to do that and compare that to other things. One thing we love about HubSpot is that the chief technology officer is a big investor in OpenAI. So they are just plugging OpenAI in everywhere in this thing. And they make it so that the AI reads this report and can summarize what this report is. So someone else can look at this report and know what it is, which is super powerful. But whenever we want to report on company level statistics, the next thing we want to do is break that down into by sales reps so that we can see if there's any outliers. Because we saw that this number was the average was 91.4, but look at the disparity. Someone's getting 98.18. So when we're talking about reporting, right? If we're talking about reporting today and looking at your guys' intentions, the use of reporting is that you want to be setting, you have to have a good process and you have to make sure it's being adopted, right? And if you do that, if you like, it doesn't matter whether the process is a 90% or 80% or 70% good. It matters more that it gets adopted because then you can measure it. So if you can measure it, then you can start to see, well, why is this person getting 98 and this person getting 86? How do we transmit and the knowledge and the activities of this person down to this person so that the global benefit goes up? So another common one is going to be like close rate, right? Like how much we're selling things and breaking that down per rep. But being able to have these dashboards where you can literally sort the information any way you want. And I'm going to talk about some benefits of just even the sorting in a minute, but we want to talk about what is our close rate. Again, looking at it from a company perspective visually, right? When we're setting up reports, it's not just can you report on it, but can you get at a glance a good visual on it? So this is not CRM dependent. Like there are other CRMs in the room, right? Because half the people are on HubSpot, half the people aren't. I'm not trying to sell you HubSpot. So I want you to see that, like go into your CRM, talk to your customer service people and be like, can I get a pie chart? Can I get a bar graph? Can I get a gauge? because many of them can, right? I just know the one we like because it makes us say no the least often. But being able to lay it out so that you can look and say, okay, our close rate is 27% company wide, but then right beside that, have the information here saying, okay, like 40% is what this person's getting. This person is dragging us down to 18%. So do we need to take this person just out behind the woodshed, you know what I mean, and get rid of them? Like, are they just burning through leads? But having a look at it, being able to see it visually here helps our brains analyze our business. There's a very specific reason why your car dash is laid out the way it is. It's because it helps your brain, focus on the most important thing, the road, but still know where your car is at, right? And making sure you don't need to see your oil pressure gauge all the time, but you do want to see your speedometer. So this is more of a high level report. And what I just demonstrated here was the ability to click in to a report. So I think that what I'm trying to communicate here is, if you like, this is like a list of, sorry, I meant to click over, my bad, I'm moving too fast. I want to be able to say, look at something like this. There we go. I look at this and I see, okay, we got 6 leads. Great. Now, if you're reporting in HubSpot, I don't know which ones can do this, but it's nice if the elegance of your reporting allows you to say, okay, well, great, I got 6 leads, or any piece of data in the system. Doesn't matter if it's these blue spots, right? Or these blue spots, right? I'm just using the 6 in this example. Sorry, right here, the 6 in this example. If we click it, we can open it up and then we can see those 6 contacts. We can see those 6 leads so that you can deep dive into your report and be able to set, then you can determine the columns. So when you're setting up a report in whatever CRM you use, try and make it so that you decide the columns inside the report. When you click into a deep dive, you want to say, well, when I click into this, I want to see the contact status, the contact owner, the lead source, and the type, right? So like general contractor, customer, whatever, like we want to see specific data when we do this, and then you can then click again further and go directly to that contact record inside the system. Then we were talking earlier about the timing, right? Being able to see the amount of time that it takes spent on retail or insurance, and then seeing that this person went way over, so he's dragging the average. He probably didn't do something right in the system because he didn't spend 6.5 hours on it. So this is where we catch people who are not following the process because they're dragging down the average, they're throwing it off. And so then we can say, hey, you did something wrong because everybody else is here. There's no way you're this bad, right? So then being able to kind of see, and then you can click into that and see which file did he screw up on, so you can actually train better behaviors. Is such a key factor in being able to do something like this. This report here, what I talked about is regularly communicate about your reports. If you do have HubSpot, if you're part of this crew, I know this is something that's probably not available in most, but I don't want you to not hear about this feature. When you're in a dashboard, there's these little orange pins. You can click them, and then you can have a discussion on a report itself. And so you can discuss reporting right within that particular dashboard. So you're solving or fixing or improving your reporting in that environment. So you're not sending an email being like, hey, the MQLs yesterday report is off. Can you make that one better? And then they got to go open their CRM, go to that part of the dashboard, go to that part, and just being able to communicate here and tag people, big thing that you guys want to use for those who are there. Another thing that is really cool about setting up reporting is if you put your goal on your report as well. So most reporting allows you to say, well, tell us what's happened, but then you can also set up a goal to say, like, this is how many leads we wanted to get, and this is how many leads we got, and then compare yourself to your goal so that you can actually see, like, well, great, we got 268 leads. What does that mean? Well, it means that we were, halfway towards our goal. That's not very good. Well, how did the business do anyway? This company managed to double in revenue, not hitting their lead goal because they focused on the other things like the one call close rate and the qualification rate. So they just managed to hit their goal because they improved other metrics in the business. So it's interesting business intelligence that we got as a result. Another report you guys want to make sure you're building is going to be your lead sources. Now, lead sources requires, this is about process and adoption. Lead sources requires good lead intake. Pretty much every customer I've ever talked to in the history of building CRMs, this is a face to the camera moment. When we teach lead intake, right? We teach a longer lead intake process. And because we believe that we want to take a customer out of the market, right? We want the customer to feel like they can cross called a roofer off their to-do list for the day. Because when you're looking at calling a roofing company, you're going to go roofers in Pittsburgh, and then you're going to search for roofer, you're going to click it, you're going to look around the website, maybe check social media, maybe you just go straight to click to call, but you're probably going to do some quick bit of research, spend 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes being like, do I even want to talk to these jack-o'-lanterns? And then you're going to make a decision and then reach out. And if you get a fast lead response and you get on the phone with that customer, and then you take 10, 12 minutes of their time by asking a lot of questions, demonstrate your competence, understand their issues, what's going to happen is they're going to kind of get fatigued from that call, and you're going to feel it on the call. And that's why the inside sales reps, the owners, the sales managers always push back and be like, oh, we're fatiguing people on these calls. I'm like, that's the point. Because then they're not going to go back on their browser as soon as they finish the call with you and go search for another roofing company. They're going to feel completion in their head. And this is something I have to, on day 4 of training, it always comes out, the lead intake playbook takes a really long time. We'd like to remove some questions. And it's like, no, that's not what the point is. But I also teach, and this is something that I hope that you guys, and go ahead, roast me in the comments if you think I'm wrong, but I'm happy to hear it. The most valuable thing that a person can do on lead intake is find out the true source of the lead. Because what happens if we book an appointment with the customer and they cancel? We receive no value from the call. What if we book an appointment and we show up and the husband's not there and we never get a hold of them again? So we didn't even, maybe we presented a quote, maybe we didn't, depending on whether you present to one legs or not. What's the value of that call? Nothing. What if we book the appointment, show up for the thing, the husband and wife are there, we do the presentation, we present a quote, customer never calls us back. No value to the call, right? The call only has value once it becomes a sale, unless we make sure that we do a really good job understanding the lead source. Because if we really understand the lead source, and so what I mean is like, hi, whereabouts did you find us? Like you sound like you're like the perfect customer for us. How did you happen to find out about RBP Roofing? Oh, I saw you on a Facebook ad. Oh, is it the one where the owner is singing and dancing? No, I didn't see that one. It was something about 0.9% or like a new roof for $111 biweekly. Oh, perfect. Yeah, our financing offer. Great. Right? Oh, I see you guys' trucks all the time. Oh, was it in your neighbor's driveway, or did you just see them out on the road? Right? Because what's the difference, right? We want to know which Facebook ad works. I know there's no video of the owner singing and dancing, but the customer doesn't know that. But it's enough of a shock to the brain, right? Tony Robbins talks about this. Like he splashes water in people's faces sometimes when they're whining to shock them and get them back to solving their life problems. And so we have to shock their brain. Like, oh, is it the one where the owner is singing and dancing? They go, no. It was something about metal roofing for $99 a month. You know what I mean? Like something like that. Like we want to see how much do they remember. Really important if they're doing some kind of interest rate offer, because then you can build the fee in when you present it. You're not taking a 12% dive paying for the fee because you know that up front. Same thing goes for like the trucks. It's like, oh, was it around that you're seeing the trucks all the time? And that's the reason you thought of our company? But then, or is it was in your neighbor's driveway? Because then that's like a sauce doing a job lead source, not really seeing our trucks and spending money on trucks all the time. Because you could accomplish the same thing by having a lawn sign or a big flag in front of the house. Maybe having wrapped trucks is not the best use of your investment, but if they're just seeing them around all the time, that matters. So if nothing happens after that, if that customer calls us back 15 minutes later and says, actually, you know what, my husband just found out his cousin's a roofer and we're not going to go with you, you still got value from that call. You now know where your marketing is being spent. Because then if you adopt that process, then you get this report, right? Which is being able to then determine your revenue per lead source because you know the data is accurate. They are ridiculous at this company about knowing if it was they saw us at the home headquarters, whether it was a yard sign, saw us working. Saw us working is different than trucks and is different than billboards, television. They test every possible marketing lead source they can. They are so diverse, and they are just now 3 years in really starting to like dial in where they want to advertise. But when they test a new marketing source, they're relentless in their lead intake to make sure that they're getting the data, and then they track the closing rate between them, right? And I just noticed a spelling error here, and then they get relentless about fixing that. And I'm going to try and pick up the pace here. So also being able to see, I mean, close rates are obvious. HubSpot's nice because you can put rich text in and link out to other ones to go to a different report. I'm going to kind of speed it up. Being able to embed HubSpot is something that you guys should know about. For those of you in the room are on it, you can actually embed HubSpot inside a dashboard. See how there's like a navigation bar here and a navigation bar here? It's like HubSpot's in your screen twice right now. They're embedding HubSpot so they can take stuff from the dashboard, and then instead of having to go back into the CRM to go maybe address one of the numbers that they see here, for this particular flow of work, they found it better to just embed HubSpot into the dashboard itself, because they could look at these numbers and then they could just quickly go up and deal with the thing, right? So it was faster than going back. So they basically said, I want to embed the tickets view on the pipeline style of view, right? Because you can have a list, or you can have a grid view, like the pipeline view, with these filters set up. So they literally set exactly where they want to be in HubSpot into this and embedded it so they could work on HubSpot from within the dashboard. Job costing, big thing. Again, we have to make sure we got our accounting system properly set up, but then we can see our average margin by rep. This person at 22%, we can take them out behind the woodshed. And then I'm feeling like I want to jump ahead into the basics. How does everybody feel? Do they feel like they got an idea as to why reporting is important? Are you inspired? Do you want to like take reporting seriously? Give me like a 3 in the chat if there's something. Give me a yes, something like that. Okay, perfect. All right, okay, all right. So what I'm gonna do is then we're gonna move on. So what is reporting? So we're inspired. We know that reporting is important. Let's talk about what reporting is, okay? So it's a graphical representation of your data. Never want to do that to you guys. I don't love it when I have to I do all this right here. Heaven forbid you guys see a little black bar on the side, right? I gotta make sure this is just perfectly placed. Okay, there, no weird bar. Okay, so now I can skip past a bunch of this stuff. Okay, so what is reporting? So we're inspired. We know that reporting is important. Let's talk about what reporting is, okay? So it's a graphical representation of your data. It's a way to answer a question you have about your customer interactions or data. This sounds so simple, right? Because we're just saying like it's answering a question about your data. It sounds like a very simple statement to make, like a duh, no kidding type thing. But when customers come to us and say they want reporting, right? Whether it's a sales environment or we're supporting an existing customer, we say, great, what do you want to report on? Like close rate, profit. Okay, great. What are the things that indicate, like what are the leading indicators of that? And so really getting good at asking questions about your business is the key to getting good reporting. Being able to say, I want to ask a certain question of my business. And so a good example of that is like, where are my deals being lost? This is what's called a Sankey diagram, Sankey, Sankey. It's right here, Sankey. And what this means is that we can set up any kind of ideal journey, right? And this doesn't have to, like, this can go all the way back to like the website, because your tracking pixel in HubSpot is on your website. So you can say like interacts with a Google ad that says repairs. Like that could be the starting point of the journey. Like they clicked on an ad that is about repairs in our repair ad, like the group of ads, right? And then they visit the repair landing page, and then they choose to phone, not send in a form. And then from the form, they go to the inspection booked and then ultimately there. And we can see where are we losing them because we're kind of visually seeing 267 people here. Some people skip the steps, right? Which skipping a step could be they didn't submit a form, they just skipped a step and went straight to phoning, right? How many people skip a step and go straight to phoning? And so being able to see these different levels of where are they jumping to in your process, where are you wasting your customers' time because you're seeing these skip steps. But you have to hypothesize that journey. And then you can also start to ask, why are we losing these people here? And you can start to dig in and be like, what is happening? Right. So really getting like we're in this company, they're losing deals before they're even sending the contract. Like, why are we getting lost deals here? Right? What are we saying to these customers? So we want to be able to start thinking like the quality of your business growth and your understanding of its performance is dictated by the level of questions that you ask about your business and then try to answer. And when you can't answer them, you commit to creating processes and driving management adoption to doing it. Now, like we got to start with some of the lagging indicators in your business, right? But we want to get down to data management because everything is about ensuring you and your team have a clean, consistent data that can be reported on. That's why, like right now, we're so focused on this platform build that we're doing because it's all about we have a process. There could be a slightly different way you could do it, but we want to focus on the process that we know that we can train, that we know works and works to a high degree, and then beat that process into your people's head with so that we have consistently entered data so that you can trust your reporting. Because again, I'm in that offer, I'm guaranteeing revenue. So I want to trust the reporting because I'm the one who has to make sure that me and my team get you to that revenue goal. So we have to trust it. So that means in many cases using the right property types when setting up your data. So when it comes to setting up your data, I'm going to skip a few steps because I want to talk about the different types of properties. Okay, yes. So losing deals, right? This is a very common one when it comes to reporting issues, is that we lose a deal and we type in a closed loss reason, right? So we want to know why we're losing deals, but then what we do is we have an open text property. So we write something in there like price too high. And then the next time it's customer didn't like the price. And the next time it's competitor was cheaper. On a report, if we were reporting on an open text field, that would technically come out as 3 different outcomes, even though it's all kind of 3 flavors of the same thing. So reporting is the end result. We have to start back at the beginning. So we say, okay, we're thinking we want it to work, but reporting actually begins with creating our systems and processes. So we can't talk about creating a report without first talking about setting up our data properly. This is why I posted the data model video on YouTube yesterday, because this keeps coming up, right? So we did post a recording of one of our previous videos about this because we need people to understand why data is so important. So and Chad is in here. Wow, this is awesome. I love the Chad. Chad is the reporting king. He should be jumping into this thing and teaching how to build reports because he's 10,000 times better at it than I am. Okay, so I trust him to build the report so I can help the people grow their businesses. That's why I'm good, is because Chad is there. So let's talk about property types. So like Chad said in the chat, Chad is Chad GPT. He is one of our HubSpot kings. So we're talking about, okay, what type of boxes are we going to have people fill information in? And we'll keep in line with the closed lost reason, okay? And so when we don't want to enter letters and numbers and symbols manually with text or multi-line text, all right? I'll skip past phone number. We want to talk about things that allow us to kind of pick one option or another, right? And so if we think about this like a single checkbox property, right, which just says, okay, we're only going to be able to pick, yes or no, right? Or we have multiple checkboxes where we can pick multiple things like closed loss reason, price too high, and did not like the product, right? So they wanted to go with metal instead of Euro Shield rubber, and the price is too high, right? So we could do a multiple check, right? Which is similar to a drop-down select. We only pick one thing from a drop-down, but a drop-down is exactly what this is. This is a drop-down, and then you drop down and you pick something. Radio select functions very similar, but it displays all the options at the same time, and then you can only pick one, right? So it's like when you pick another one, it takes away the first selection, forcing you to only pick one thing, right? And then date pickers, again, that's another thing. The date, being able to do dates. So I'm not going to jump too much into numbers, calculations, and scores, because there is so much to do when it comes to this. But this is why you're going to learn a lot about setting up custom properties. And I'll tell you a mistake that I made very early on. Chad, you're here, so you could fix this for me. Very early on in my HubSpot journey, I would create properties because I didn't follow the advice that I'm about to give you, which is where you don't know where something is in HubSpot, or you think it needs to be there in a specific way, and so you go creating custom properties. In my HubSpot CRM, I still have a property called mobile number custom, and I did that because I was making a custom property of a mobile number in our CRM, and that's what I linked our Facebook ads to originally. Now, so now I have a bunch of contacts that came in through Facebook ads where the mobile number is on the mobile number custom property, not the mobile number that was the default in the system, because I didn't know what I didn't know. So it just saved you from having whatever it is in my system right now, 100, 200, 300 leads that have the wrong phone number in the wrong place. And yeah, we can go, and you could literally fix it in 5 minutes. I haven't asked Chad to do that yet. But anyways, so when do you want to use a custom property? It's like, you want to use the standard ones as often as possible, but when you need to enter a custom property, always check if they currently exist. A great way to do that is from this guy, Kyle Jepson. And again, sorry, I know this goes off on the HubSpot path a bit, but if you probably have a Kyle Jepson in your CRM land too. Kyle Jepson is our, CRM learning deity of choice in the HubSpot world, but you probably have one in your CRM, right? And that guy probably has some content that he's put out to help you use the system better. This guy made this piece of content, which is the default property cheat sheet, which really makes it simple. And Chad just posted it in the comments, so that's good. So it just says, okay, then you can see all the default properties, and then that way you don't need to create custom properties when you shouldn't do it. And so I want to kind of dive away from talking too much about properties, because I did talk about how we're going to get into reporting, right? And actually creating reports. So you have a couple of different things here. You have single object reporting, right? Which is where you could say, I just want to look at the deals, right? Or the contacts, or the companies, or the tickets or jobs, right? So you're just reporting on a single object. And so you're essentially just saying, I want to know my deals, what the close loss reason is. The real magic comes when you report on cross objects, right? So you're reporting on, I want to know, why am I drawing a blank here on it? Okay, I want to know how many deals we have multiple contacts associated with it, right? If we have, I want to see how many deals have open tickets, because we have deals that are have multiple tickets associated to them, and some could be open and some could be closed because we did the roof already, but we haven't done the siding, right? And I don't get into building reports for my customers enough anymore, that this stuff is, my synapses don't fire as often as they used to on this. But then or deals that have an associated payment or no associated, yes, perfect example. So a deal that has a payment associated would mean that, like, we have received money, or deals that don't have a payment associated with it means that we have not tried to collect any money, or we have not collected any money yet, and these are deals that are still outstanding, right? It's like I said, I'm so like nervous right now that Chad's in here, because he's so much better than me at all this, and I really have an amazing team, and they're the ones who make me look good. I am truly trying to tell you this. I have some value I offer the company, but I'm truly doing what all of you. Okay, let me stop. all of you should do exactly what I'm doing, which is try and surround yourself and do yourself a favor and try and acquire people who make you look good. Because like Bettina does a fantastic job of making sure everybody knows about these webinars and getting everybody here. Chad is incredible in HubSpot, and like I can go on and on. Our MDRs are doing such a good job of keeping our notes updated in the CRM and setting up appointments for our account executives. Like that is like the thing that I would love to pass on to anybody in here today is just you have no idea how happy you can be as a CEO is when you start to build a team. So we are in a report builder. All right, so we're going to go into create a report. And so what we want to talk about in this report is I want to see a custom report builder and pull up Jorns because I knew that he's usually pretty cool with me showing his shit. Yes, I did. Okay. So let's hope, have we put payments into his account? Needs invoices. Okay, let's see invoices. All right. So I'm going to try and report on deals. And so we have contacts, deals, and invoices. I don't know. Is Chad able to jump in, Bettina? Because like I'm gonna mash my way through it because I haven't done it in a while, but I think I can do it. But if there's a way to get Chad in here, gosh, save my ass, Chad, because you just bang 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 like he like fires this stuff off. I have to think about it nowadays. All right,
Give me a moment. I'll be right back.
got rescued.
Be right back. How's it going, everybody? I'm Chad here with Roofing Business Partner. Just to introduce myself a little bit, I love HubSpot. That's my jam. So that's basically the story. It's a lot longer story than that, but we'll just stick
Absolutely.
with that for now.
I'm gonna spotlight you, Chad.
Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and share screen here, and you guys should now see a empty dashboard called Technical RBP within the Summit Exteriors portal. So let's see, Adam, the report that you wanted to build, remind me again.
I wanted to see a list of open jobs that are that open jobs that have no invoice. So kind of like we started the work before we build a deposit. I think that's like a thing that we would try and eliminate from our customers' businesses is like starting jobs before you get a deposit. And if anybody has kind of like a dream report, Chad can either build it or show you how he's built it because we probably have enough time to get 2 reports out. So would love to see if anybody can challenge Chad.
Let's see. I think I'll have to pull up the old chat in a secondary window here. There we go. I got it open so I can see. But Bettina, let me know if I miss any chats. Okay. Okay. So the first thing that I do when reporting is actually I check the data model, right? So like Adam was talking about, everything really revolves around the properties themselves. Where is the data being stored? So one of the things that we need to check is actually like, are we using HubSpot invoices, for example? So we might actually go to the invoices page just to see if we're using HubSpot invoices or not. So what we can see is there's a lot of HubSpot invoices, and they have, create dates that are due dates that are upcoming in 2024. So we know we're using HubSpot invoices. So we know we can report on HubSpot invoices. But if we weren't using HubSpot invoices and maybe that was stored in a deal property, maybe we would need to change the way we're doing reporting. And instead of doing a cross object report, maybe a single object report. So from that perspective, let's go ahead and actually head back to that dashboard one more time. And we're going to go ahead and add a report to this dashboard and create a report. From here, we can, of course, choose a single object report, a custom report builder, a customer journey report. This is a very, very cool type of report. It's really great for things like deal stage reporting. So maybe if you want to see if your employees are following the process and your deals need to go from stage 1, 2, 3, and 4 all the way through that process, this journey report will allow you to set up the roadmap or the treasure map of how to get from point A to point B and find the treasure, which is the money at the end of the job. It'll let you say, here's the criteria to get to the treasure. And if people are skipping steps, which could be bad, or if people are going straight through and hitting every step, or if they're getting stuck in steps for a long period of time, or why they're being disqualified, maybe why deals are being lost. They maybe get to here, but you have drop off is what it's called within the Journey Report Builder. Very, very interesting. If you have some higher level subscriptions of HubSpot, you can get into attribution reporting, which is like, how did these contacts or these deals get created? What activities or interactions drove conversions or revenue? And then funnels allow you to do things like, what kind of conversion rate am I getting through my funnels? But in this particular scenario, we're going to do a custom report builder report, and we're going to do deals as our primary data source. And then our secondary data source is going to be invoices, right? So there's something really interesting here. Again, like I was mentioning when I was just kind of speaking on the side about these data reporting and having the correct primary data source. For example, if I want to report on revenue, but it just like how many deals were getting into a sold status, but I have contacts as primary, I can actually get duplicate occurrences of the same deal if contacts are primary. Now, why is that, right? Because this is all like database shenanigans, right? So it's like all these data sources are being joined in like, the mystical magical cloud up there, and all this stuff is being like compiled together. But when you think about it, like from an object perspective, I have like a deal, right? Now that deal could have more than one contact associated to it. So I have one deal with two humans, two contacts related to it. If contacts is the primary data source, and I'm using filters to say, I only want deals that are in the closed won status or in the sold status, and I want to total up the revenue, but contacts is primary, and I have two contacts on that deal, that contact and the other contact are going to show up, and I'm going to get a sum total of the same deal value twice because I have two contacts. But if deals were the primary data source, then I'm going to only have one deal regardless of whether or not I have two contacts, because I'm reporting on deals. But maybe I want to only report on certain deals that have contacts and certain occurrences or certain statuses. So I may need that cross object for filtering down the object I'm trying to report on, if that makes sense. I know that's kind of a complex and abstract thing to start with and to try and explain, but the beautiful part about it is it really allows me to segment my data and use the real world occurrences of humans being related to deals, or what deals are in HubSpot is like a project, which is related to a ticket, which is like a work order. So you can kind of think of a deal as a project and a ticket as a work order. And, one project could have many work orders, one project could have many invoices. So deals are kind of the central hub of everything that, this job has these many different types of projects going on, et cetera. So anyway, I guess just continuing on here, we have deals, and then we have our secondary object of invoices. Now, going on to the next, what we're going to do is we're going to try and find out, we're just going to try and grab the right data, right? So we want to use the filter. The filter allows us to say, out of all the deals here, we only want deals that have maybe, count of invoices. Let's see, or invoice amount or due date. Let's just say due date, invoices with a due date that is known, right? This means we're going to have only deals that have invoices with a due date that's known, right? And that means this is going to be only deals that we've sent an invoice to. Or did we want it where we don't have an invoice due date known?
That's such a good point. Like, notice what he did first. He went to the filter section first before he configured it. And that wouldn't have necessarily been intuitive because I went straight to configuring the report. This is based on experience. So like everybody just like throw one in the chat, like to throw Chad some appreciation. He didn't have to do this. It's my job to be the celebrity roofing guest. For him to jump in here and do this, I really appreciate it. I want Chad to do as much content as possible because he has so much value to give. Just give him some love because he's here on his work hours doing completely not his job. Like, so thank you so much, Chad, for being here and rescuing me.
Yeah.
Everybody here, I want everybody to kind of give him a hand because that you're super appreciated. Anyways,
yeah,
back to
awesome. Cool. So the question here is like, are we trying to figure out the number of deals that have an invoice that is associated to it, or the number of deals, what their value is that do not have an invoice associated to it? So let's do the latter. We're going to do due date is unknown, right? Because a due date is a required property on an invoice. So if you've created an invoice in HubSpot, to actually make the darn thing, it has to have a due date, right? And so what we're going to do now is we're going to say this is our filter, right? The invoices due date is unknown. And now we're going to start configuring this report. And a lot of times I like to just start with a pivot table to start looking at what data I'm bringing in, right? So I'm going to, and these are different charts, right? They have this like little magical wand. You know how like we always say if you had a magic wand, you know, you could have whatever. They call this the smart chart. It almost never works for me. But there's different types: vertical bars, horizontal bars, multi-lines where you can show things, scatter plots, area reports, donuts, which is just a pie chart with a hole in the middle. Literally, there's no difference. It's just like if you feel like you're hungry, you use a donut, and if you're not hungry, you use a pie chart. Or if you're hungry for pie, I don't know. A KPI report is just numbers. The cool thing about a KPI report is you could measure over time whatever that metric is, and it'll show you the percentage up or percentage down between the previous period and the current period. So if it's I'm measuring revenue as a KPI report, I have revenue that goes up 10% this month or down from last month compared to this month 10%, right? It'll tell you on a month-to-month basis or week-to-week basis. There's a lot of configuration there. Tables, they're just a data table. You can have combination reports. Pivot tables are really cool because you can really manipulate the data much more closer like a spreadsheet. And then lastly is the gauge report. People love this thing. It's really cool because a gauge report is like a KPI report, but you can set it in a gauge where you say our target number of sales qualified leads that we want to bring in is however many, or the number of deals that we want to have that we have not sent invoices to is less than a certain amount, for example. Well, you can put it into a gauge report, and that gauge report can have bands within it. And we can show that in this, but it's a really cool thing that's only available in the custom report builder. Okay, so let's say we want to have the count of deals as a value within this table. And then we also want to have the amount. So this is going to be the deal amount. There is a native HubSpot property here called the Amountain Company Currency. For all of us working in the US, it's just USD usually. So we just do the sum total of amount. One really, really cool thing is we're actually able to change this from the sum aggregation to the average deal amount, or the distinct count, which is the number of deals that have an amount that is a unique value. So there's never a repeat value within there if you're trying to get that for some reason. But the sum or the average is typically what you're going to use. So what we can see here is we have 348 deals with a sum total amount of, this, 676K. And then we can actually change the format to a currency if we want and apply that. And you can see it'll actually change the output of the report on the right-hand side here. And we can even rename the properties in the custom report builder. This is super handy. Like a property might need to be named something really specific to help you keep track of it in like the database, if you will. Like properties are like the database for that object. But we could actually call this total amount of revenue on the table. And save that. And the cool thing is it actually updates the amount here just to make it really easy for business owners or for the people you're making a report for them to relate to the report that you're building, right? So that's one thing that's really, really helpful. Now, we also, in this, we have the total count of deals. This is, again, if we want to just make it simple and put this into a gauge report, we could just put the count of deals. And then this is that gauge visualization I was talking about. So what we can do here is say maybe, our reference line, we want to have no more than 100 deals that are associated that don't have an invoice associated to them, right? And then the label is going to be target invoice amount, target invoices without or target deals, sorry, without an invoice. Okay. So that is going to be our reference line. So this is a really cool report. It says target deals without an invoice. Now we can create these bands where we say from 0 to 50 is going to be red, and we'll go and do red. 0 to 50 is red, and then from 50 to 60 is yellow. So we'll do little color action there. And then we'll do from 60, or actually it's going to be the other way around. Sorry. It's going to be from 60 to 100 is red, from 60 to 50, or maybe 60 to 30 is yellow. And then from 30 to 0 is green. So we'll do that. Okay. Anyway, the cool thing about this little gauge report here is whatever our measurement is, we can see we're way above the max. So we'll actually leave this 2 to auto. So no matter how high it gets, the red band will keep growing with the total number of deals. But when we want to get in and actually analyze this data, we only have one field. So if we click on this, we're able to actually see the number of like deals that are in here, the amount that we have on the deals and stuff, but we're actually probably getting deals that have that maybe are lost deals, right? So let's look at the deal stage. So we're going to bring in the deal stage as the fields, and this is like in the pipeline stage that you're looking at, as well as the pipeline, which is like a residential pipeline, or sorry, a retail pipeline, or possibly an insurance pipeline if you have one of those. And then we can actually start looking at this data a little bit clearer. So when we click on this, what you're going to get now is we see the retail pipeline, and we see we have postponed deal and lost deals. So we probably don't want to be reporting on postponed or lost deals. We're really trying to understand how many deals don't have an associated invoice that are actually like in progress, or that maybe have a signed contract. So now that we're looking at the data and it doesn't really pass the sniff test, if you will, maybe we need to actually add to our filters here. And we need to say, hey, we only want to look at deals that the deal stage here. So we're going to add this to our filters is none of, and we're going to do lost. So lost deals. And we're also going to look at deals in the postponed stage. So we're going to say we don't want deals that are in lost, the retail pipeline, closed lost of change orders, or postponed deals in the retail pipeline. And we're going to group this with filter 1. This is, again, another thing, and I know we're going a little bit over here, but it's just another thing that's pretty important to understand when we're looking at these filters. We can choose all of the filters or any of the filters. So for example, we can choose or, so invoices with this or this, which made this a way bigger number. Or we can do and, which is like a this and this, which is more limiting or more restrictive. And you can see this gives us only 77 deals, right? So from now, what we can do is we can start to actually look at the total number of deals here. And, again, maybe this gauge visualization isn't the best for this particular report, right? You can see we're actually below our threshold. We can change our target within chart settings, but let's actually go back to pivot table. So we have the count of deals and then the total amount of revenue on the table as our options, right? And so 77 deals with 400,000 on the table. So there's a number of things we could do. We could actually have like contract signed date. So we can see if any of these deals have a contract sign date. That's another thing that you can do. So anyway, that's, just a number of things that we could do. I think this particular property might not be used in this portal. But there's a way basically we can just say, hey, we want to know if there's a contract sign date, or, as a restrictive factor, to only look at deals that have signed contracts that don't have an invoice. So again, this is just kind of how to play around with the report here. Was there anything I missed in the comments, Bettina? I've been kind of just rambling here for a minute.
No,
You're sorry, go ahead, Adam.
I was gonna say no. There's been no I would assume that it is rapt attention. So you're doing a great job, and
Okay.
yeah, no, there's no questions or comments just yet.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. If anybody has any questions or wanted to jump in on anything, certainly feel free to ask. But basically, my methodology with reporting really bounces back to the properties that are available and how the data is being captured, and whether or not we can trust that data or it's being captured consistently. And that always goes back to choosing the right property type and being thinking about the report at the time that I'm actually building my process. Process, like Adam always says, or he says process, because Canada. Well, I always tease him about that. But anyway, yeah, so that's the thing. And I think we have process shirts out there somewhere, right? Isn't that the thing?
Yep.
So anyway, yeah, so it's always back to the process. Yeah, follow the dang old process, right? The dang old process. So yeah, anyway, there's like a lot of dates that we can base things on. Like if we want to only look at the number of deals that have a create date, or actually let's do home inspection date. So this is one of our services that we offer is called Arrivy, right? And Arrivy is a field management service software that allows us to schedule and give that Uber-like experience to the end user. I mean, if you could know where your hamburger is, and it's 5 minutes away from your house or not, because it's GPS tracked, why can't you do that for the inspector coming to, look at your roof, which is a lot bigger project than getting a hamburger delivered, right? But if Uber can offer that for a hamburger, why can't roofers offer that as a really nice piece of service? Like, hey, this inspector's on their way, etc. Well, if you're using Arrivy to schedule your inspections and capture data from those inspections and using that as part of your process, we can actually bring in a home inspection date. And we can say we want to know the number of deals where the home inspection date, which is the date that we schedule that Arrivy appointment, is the last 30 days, right? And so let's do, this is the number of home inspections in the last 30 days. And again, this is where that group comes in. We want to group it with number 1 because we're trying to further constrict our reporting data. So only 14 of these deals have had an inspection in the last 30 days. Or at least we're scheduled for an inspection, whether or not it was completed. So that means the amount of revenue on the table is only $5,000 from these 14 deals, whereas some of them may have not been estimated, or they are not ready to get started yet, or things like that. So we can look at that data and add any additional properties that we might want to see into this when we click on it. Now, when we're done with our report or we're feeling really good about it, we can make sure to give the report a name that is meaningful, like that. And then we can save it. And also we get a nice little description. And HubSpot, this is something you guys should be obsessed with too. HubSpot's obsessed with getting information from their customers about how they're doing in the moment that they're doing a thing, right? So one thing that we actually do is when we're using Arrivy and we actually complete a home inspection, we'll send a feedback survey using HubSpot to say, hey, how'd you feel about Henry who came out to your house and how'd they do? Just to get any feedback right from the point where they did the inspection so that we can really report on that data and understand the sentiment of the customers and see where we can do better or where we're doing great, and to leverage those strengths and improve those weaknesses. So what's really great about this is they do it right in an app, and we try to do the same thing while using our tech stack to help implement that real-time feedback just like they are. So HubSpot will ask, hey, how do you think we're doing? And help us improve by explaining your score. And I'm super happy with their reporting tool. It's awesome. We can also give a description. And I don't think it's turned on in Summit's HubSpot, but they actually have the ability to generate descriptions with AI, because it will look at the properties used in the report and try and come up with the description for you. And they actually have a little happy, sad face on that as well, which is pretty cool. So how did the AI generate the description? Did it do good? Did it not do good? But we'll go ahead and save it and add it to the dashboard here. And from here, this leaves us in the report builder, but we can also go back to the dashboard. Once we're on the dashboard, there's a number of really cool things that we can do. We can create what we call quick filters, something like the date range, right? So maybe we want to have the it was the home inspection date. So let's do the home inspection date. And we want that to be a quick filter that we have access to. So this is it's going to be a date filter. We'll just call it that for the sake of time. But by adding this quick filter, we can now actually open up the date filter and say, date filter is last week, right? Now we're looking at the number of inspections based on last week. And it looks like, I think there's none that the inspection happened last week that don't have an associated invoice. So that's a good thing, or maybe they just haven't caught up yet. So we could also look at, the last 180 days. And then that should give us additional data, I would imagine. Maybe not, but yeah. So it's still the 14. So I guess we're doing good. If in the last 6 months, they haven't, they only have 14 deals that don't have invoices, and there's not a high deal amount. So we're really on the right track, excluding the lost deals. So I think that's one thing. Is there anything else you wanted me to show, Adam, or we want to poke around with dashboards or with reports or anything like that?
I gave him a pretty good review of the dashboards
Okay.
in there and in the possibilities. I really wanted everybody to get a chance to see a report get built and just to see like the options that are possible. I also want to put everybody at ease knowing like when we build HubSpots for people, we build the reports for you. We have a kind of a standard suite of reports that we put into the system. And then as the consultants kind of come across, what is working, right? We've removed constraints. Now, what is working? And let's try and do more of that, and let's measure it, kind of like what you're talking about, the KPIs. And then from there, also being like, well, now that we've done more, can we do better? And then finally, if we're gonna do new things, then we might need to build a new report. So then our consultants kind of help figure that out. So I want to kind of just put everybody at ease there, but it is possible, and the support at HubSpot is also great. But I'd just love for you guys to know, would you guys like another course like this? Like if I could bring Chad back, would you guys be interested if Chad was willing to teach a more in-depth like how-to course? I haven't asked Chad if he would like to do that yet, but I'm just voluntolding him. But we'll see. But if you guys would like this, is that something you guys would enjoy? Is more of a on the front lines, like from a guy who does it every day type lesson on the how to do something?
Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. If we have a few specific reports that we'd want to build, maybe throw out a poll, before the course related to it that says, hey, what kind of things would you like to know? And if we have that data within our data model, we could definitely try and report on that in an account or check with one of our customers who'd be okay with us making that real time. This is actually the journey report here real quick as well. One really cool thing about it is there's the different stages of your process in this particular one.
The video at the top?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I was so impressed when I saw this report. You guys are all like, the stuff you guys are doing is incredible.
Yeah. So what I did is I gave a video that showed how to analyze this report and embedded it in the dashbox. The dashbox. I was reading Bettina saying sandbox, the dashboard. So we have basically the ability to embed a little bit of a refresher, how to read the report. And then when you click on the different sections, they pull up different things. For example, this is all of the people who were in, the building inspected stage that didn't get to a filed insurance claim stage, right? And so with that, we actually brought these drop off into an analysis report for looking at appointments scheduled to building inspected drop off, but also looking at the ones that are lost deals. So what are the lost reasons for the people who got lost in that stage from here to here? But also what are, this is actually, appointment set to building inspected. So it's this section. But then also what are the, stages that they're in right now? So maybe they dropped off, but they moved somewhere else. So it helps us kind of analyze a little bit of additional data. But anyway, this is a really, really cool report. It's actually old data right now, in this particular thing, because it was a snapshot at the time. They've actually updated this particular journey report feature so that it can be dynamic and continue on a rolling 60, rolling 90-day sort of function. But yeah, anyway, I think I can call it there for the time being.
No, you've done fantastic. We've given 18 minutes of extra value. Chad, I appreciate you jumping in.
Yeah.
If you want to stop your screen share, we'll kind of close this out for everybody. You're free to go back and do whatever you have to do or stick around. But yes, everybody, so to answer your question, David, do we do training and coaching on working with insurance companies? We don't do like claims and supplementing training. We actually have a client that we built their HubSpot that does claims nationally, and so we help like them get customers because they're really good at it. We do bring in subject matter experts on the webinars sometimes, and so we could bring in a subject matter expert, but I'm not a supplementing expert, and I wouldn't propose myself to be. Now, claims management, like how to actually manage claims in your business and like keep the flow of business flowing. Yes, we do training on that. We have we do a webinar. We probably bring it back about once a month, talking about claims management and not supplementing, right? The actual act of negotiating with the insurance company, but the claims management process. Because once you know how to supplement, or you have a supplementing person working with you, the act of supplementing is taken care of. The real problem then becomes claims management, like managing the volume of business that you're getting, and that becomes the next problem you have to solve. So that's that. Is there any other questions? I see we've lost about 50% of our guests, so it's probably a good time to call it there. Yeah,
I can't stop sharing for some reason, so
it didn't stop. You couldn't stop?
I can't stop. If you still see the screen, I can't stop. It's like my Zoom is frozen, but I'm still in Zoom.
Yeah, it's weird. It looks like you're picking your nose on our side.
Does it?
Yeah, it looks like your nose is like that. Your finger's like this. We can see your finger, but you look like this.
Okay. Well, I'm going to kill my Zoom. Thanks, everybody. And, happy to come back for another reporting session sometime.
Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you a ton.
See you.
All right, Bettina, if you want to take us away, we will, you can kind of close us out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chad, for coming in. And folks, I share our upcoming courses with you guys. Don't forget, we still have another course tonight, and we do have a course on AI this Saturday. So we have usually every other Saturday a course on either ChatGPT or AI or some extra tools that it's not part of our current tech stack. So this Saturday, we have it's going to be sales mastery with AI. So 10 ways that you're not using AI and ChatGPT on your business. So I highly recommend you guys registering for that one. And we have courses scheduled all the way towards the end of January. We're going to have a few partner courses. So we do have Company Camp coming up, and we also have a Sumoko review for those of you guys that are looking forward to scale and growing with the CRM. So those courses are coming towards the middle of the end of January. All of those are on the link that I just shared. So I highly recommend you guys coming. And if you guys, I know that we had one new folk here on the webinar. So if you haven't signed up for the Winning Wednesday, I also recommend you coming to this one. It's a little bit different than our courses. This is more of a open room for you guys to share your wins and challenges with Adam. So it's a free consulting session. So I do recommend you guys coming to this one as well.
Thank you so much, Bettina. Everybody, have a wonderful day. We're doing another course this evening. So we will be back, And you guys have a wonderful weekend either way. Okay, we'll see you in the next one.